In Formula One, the budget cap is a spending limit set by the FIA. It controls how much money each team can use during a season. This rule started in 2021 to make the sport more fair. Big teams like Mercedes and Red Bull used to spend a lot more than small teams. With the cap, everyone must stay within a fixed budget. The goal is to reduce the gap between rich and small teams, but not everyone agrees with it. Some say it helps, while others say it's hard to follow with rising costs. Breach in 2021, Formula One introduced a strict budget cap. Teams could only spend a fixed amount to keep the competition fair. But things took a shocking turn when rumors started spreading that some teams had secretly spent more than allowed. One name stood out: Red Bull Racing. Reports claimed they had overspent by around $2 million, mostly on things like catering and staff expenses. While it may sound small, in F1, even a little extra money can create a big advantage. This breach raised serious questions. Was it an honest mistake? Or a smart trick to gain an edge? As the news spread, fans and rival teams demanded answers. Trust in the system was shaken, and the pressure on the FIA to respond grew stronger. This wasn't just a mistake. It was a possible betrayal of the sport's rules. The budget cap scandal didn't just affect one team. It shook the entire Formula One grid. While Red Bull was the only team officially found guilty of overspending in 2021, the controversy made other teams extremely nervous. Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren were quick to demand transparency. They wanted to know exactly how much Red Bull had spent and how the FIA was going to handle it. Some team principals, like Toto Wolff from Mercedes, didn't hold back. He publicly criticized the FIA and Red Bull, saying that even a small financial advantage can change a race or even a championship. He pointed out that an extra upgrade or better car part, afforded only by extra spending, could make all the difference. Meanwhile, teams that followed the rules felt cheated. They had cut staff, delayed car upgrades, and made sacrifices to stay under the cap. To them, Red Bull's breach wasn't just about money. It was about respecting the spirit of fair competition. Even smaller teams like Alpine and Williams joined the discussion. They feared that if the budget cap wasn't enforced strictly, then big teams would keep overspending without real consequences. That would make it impossible for underdog teams to ever compete at the top. In the end, this scandal didn't just target one team. It created a storm of doubt around the fairness of the entire Formula One system. The FIA, or Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile, is the organization that runs and regulates Formula One. When the budget cap was introduced, the FIA promised strict monitoring and equal rules for everyone. But after the scandal, many began to question whether the FIA could actually deliver on that promise. The FIA has a special team called the Cost Cap Administration. Their job is to review every team's financial report at the end of each season. Teams must submit detailed spending records, and the FIA checks these line by line. If anything looks off, the FIA starts an investigation. That's exactly what happened with Red Bull after the 2021 season. After weeks of rumors, the FIA confirmed that Red Bull had breached the budget cap, but the way they handled it sparked controversy. They called it a minor overspend, even though it was over $2,000 million extra. Instead of removing points or banning Red Bull from races, the FIA issued a $7 million fine and cut their wind tunnel time. Many felt this punishment was too soft. Critics accused the FIA of being too slow, too secretive, and even biased. Team bosses like Christian Horner and Toto Wolff clashed in the media, adding more heat to the drama. Fans were left confused. Was the FIA protecting the sport's image, or just failing to enforce its own rules? The scandal exposed a key truth: without strong leadership from the FIA, the budget cap means nothing. And now, the world is watching to see if the FIA will fix its mistakes, or let history repeat itself. Punish when Red Bull broke the budget cap, all eyes turned to the punishment. Would the FIA go hard and make an example, or would they play it safe to avoid backlash? In the end, many fans and teams felt the penalty was too soft. Here's what happened. Red Bull was fined $700 million and had their wind tunnel testing time cut by 10% for the next season. That means less time to test their aerodynamics, which could slow down car development. But the punishment didn't affect their championship points, race wins, or trophies. They got to keep all their 2021 results, including Max Verstappen's world title. This decision sparked outrage. Critics said the fine was nothing for a rich team, and the wind tunnel cut was not enough to balance out the advantage Red Bull had gained. Some rival teams claimed that if they had known the consequences would be so light, they might have overspent too. The FIA defended its choice, saying that Red Bull's overspend was minor and unintentional. But others weren't convinced. They argued that in Formula One, every dollar counts. Just a small advantage can mean the difference between winning and losing. If a team spends extra on better parts, they go faster. And if they win more races, they earn more money, which creates an even bigger gap. The punishment set a dangerous tone. It sent a message that the cost of breaking the rules might just be worth the risk. And that's a threat to the very fairness of the sport. The fans are the heart of Formula One. And during the budget cap scandal, many of them felt deeply disappointed. People who love the sport expect races to be fair, where talent and strategy matter more than money. But when news broke that a team had overspent and still kept their title, fans around the world began to question, is Formula One really fair anymore? Social media exploded with debates. Some fans defended Red Bull, saying the overspend was small and the punishment was enough. Others, especially supporters of rival teams like Mercedes and Ferrari, were furious. They felt that Max Verstappen's title in 2021 was now tainted, and that the FIA had protected a top team instead of standing by its own rules. At races, boos were heard, banners were raised, and chants filled the air. It wasn't just about one team anymore. It became a question of trust in the system. Fans who had followed F1 for years, who stayed up late or woke up early just to watch, now felt betrayed. Some even said they would stop watching. For them, if rules could be broken without serious consequences, then the sport had lost its meaning. Others hoped that this scandal would lead to stricter rules and more transparency, so that future seasons would be clean and fair. One thing became clear: fans don't just watch for the cars or the speed. They watch for the drama, the respect, and the belief that the best team wins fairly. And in this scandal, that belief was badly shaken. Future after the scandal, the big question everyone's asking is, what's next for Formula One? The budget cap was supposed to bring fairness, control spending, and give all teams a real shot at winning. But after the Red Bull breach and the weak punishment, many worry that the future of the sport is at risk. The FIA has promised to improve the system. They're reviewing how teams report finances, tightening the rules, and planning faster investigations. But fans and teams are still watching closely. If another team breaks the rules and gets a soft penalty, it could destroy trust forever. Some fear that rich teams will start testing the limits, overspending just enough to get an edge, but not enough to face serious consequences. If that happens, smaller teams will fall behind again, and the sport will return to being a money race, not a talent race. On the positive side, this scandal could be a wake-up call. It showed the weak spots in the system and gave the FIA a chance to fix them before more damage is done. Teams are now more careful, and fans are more alert. The spotlight is on fairness like never before. Formula One has a long history of controversy, but it always bounces back. The future depends on how strong the rules are, how fair the punishments are, and how committed the sport is to true competition. Because in the end, fans don't just want speed, they want justice on the track.